recognize that instrument? Maybe you remember it from our last lesson. Those two instruments actually that you hear are the djembe and the bonga. Well, today we're going to learn some African rhythms on the djembe. You might not have yours and I don't have mine, but we can use different things that we have at our homes, whether it be our table or maybe a container that you find in your kitchen. We can play some drum rhythms together, okay? But before we do, we need to do a bit of review. Let's check out the notes and rests that we've talked about so far this year so that we're ready to read those rhythms. Let's go! Let's remember that the notes are the ones that we find on the left, and the rests, or the silences, are the ones that we find on the right. If we start at the top, the half note is the one that's empty, and its rest looks like a little hat. If we remember from rhythm chairs, that person would sit on one chair and put their legs up on another because this is a longer note. It takes up 2 beats or 2 chairs. Let's go with the second one. Our friend Miss Ta, also known as the quarter note or the crotchet. Its rest is the squiggly one that looks a little bit like a lightning bolt. This note is worth 1 beat, and it would take up 1 chair, or nobody on that chair, as we remember for the rests. But it's very important that it still gets its time. The last one that we see there is the 8th note. We also remember it as the T or TT because we usually see the two together, the TT twins. Its rest looks like almost a 1 whenever we write it with a little dot on it. And this one only would take up half a seat. But like I said, usually we see them together. So it was 2 people sitting on a seat, or 2 TTs, 2 8th notes, equals 1 beat, or 1 quarter note in this case. Does that sound okay? Are we good so far? Well then, let's have a look at the djembe.
Now the djembe is spelled D-J-E-M-B-E. This drum is a drum that's played in West Africa. The history of the djembe comes from the Mali Empire, which was a huge empire somewhere between 800 and 1200 AD. That's about halfway between the birth of Christ and where we are today. The djembe is a drum that was played for the king of Mali. And it became a very popular drum because everywhere he went, whether it was in battle or was for celebration, he would use the djembe drum. Why would he use the djembe drum? Well, the djembe drum is a very loud drum. So this drum was used as a form of communication that would be used from mountaintop to mountaintop to tell people about the king was coming. In fact, there's a rhythm that actually talks about the king is coming. It goes like this. And the rhythm is called Ani Sokoma. It means the king is coming. So this drum was a communication device.
How cool is that? A drum used to communicate. Well, today we're going to learn how to communicate with these drums, but first we need to learn about a special word. This word is echo. I'm sure you've heard it before because we do it all the time in music. I play something and you play it back to me because you always hear the same thing back. Let's try an echo with this drum rhythm. Your right hand is going to play the yellow squares and your left hand is going to play the pink squares. Let's try it now. I'll play, you echo back. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you play. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you play. 2, 3, and 4, and. How did that go for you? I'm sure you did a great job with whatever instrument you're using. This happens to be my drum today. Did you notice anything different in the picture between the first time we played the rhythm and the second time? I hope you noticed that the numbers changed to notes, and we had our good friends, Miss Ta and Miss Titi, to help us. Well, Now that we understand what an echo is, let's talk about a second form of communication. This form is called call and response. We also do this in class all the time. When I say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and you say 1, 2, eyes on you. That's call and response because I say something and then you say something different. So how are we going to do that on the drums? Well, let's learn another drum rhythm that you're going to use to respond, and then we'll play a little game. Sound good? Let's try this next rhythm. This time we're going to use a little phrase to help us with this rhythm. It's Bob the Builder. And it's going to sound like this. You can echo back with me. Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder. One more time. Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder. Nice job! I'm sure you got that rhythm down, even though if you saw the notes on the picture, it looks a little tricky. There's actually a new note that we hadn't seen before. It looks like our friend Ta, but it has a little dot right after it. That we'll just call the dotted quarter note, and it just means it's somewhere between the quarter and the half note. It equals 1 1/2. You played it, so don't worry. Anything else than that? Just know your Bob the Builder rhythm. Now, we're going to play a game of call and response. If you hear drum rhythm 1, I want you to play Bob the Builder. But if you hear Bob the Builder, I want you to play drum rhythm 1. We'll try a few and let's see how this goes. Did you conquer that? If so, then you're ready for the next challenge because this time you're going to only hear the call and then you have to do the correct response. I'll put up the picture to still help us before step 3. Did you get them all correct? I hope so, but if not, go back and play again as many times as you like. This is a fun game because the next level, which is the last level, is going to be the toughest. Are you ready? We're going to talk about one more form of communication. Really, it's a form of rhythm. We call it polyrhythms. Do you remember when we talked about polyphony, when there was more than one melody happening at the same time in our cake? Well, that can happen in rhythm too. And in African music, it's very, very popular. So we're going to try a polyrhythm today. It's going to be really tricky, okay? But I think you can handle it. Let's have a look. If we were at school together, I would split you into 2 groups. So maybe you want to find a brother or a sister, your mom or your dad, to come and try this with you. You choose who's going to be group 1 and who will be group 2. And you just have to play them at the same time. So here's how we're going to practice with the video. I'm going to play both of them here at the same time, and you choose which one you're going to play along with. Then you can switch anytime you like to get a good feel for what polyrhythm feels like. Let's start with group 1, the drum rhythm 1. We can all play it together, and then I'm going to have you switch to group 2 while I continue number 1. All right? Let's start with number 1. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Now let's get ready to change over to group 2 and do Bob the Builder. We're gonna line it right up. It's like when we're all talking at the same time, but you got it. Follow along with me. 1, 2, ready, go. Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder, Bob the... Keep going. So how did you do? I hope you had fun playing that polyrhythm and learning all about echoes and call and response on the djembe or whatever you had at home. To finish today, I want you to do the Rhythm Builder Challenge. Now, if you did the last challenge I gave you, this will be nothing, okay? But if you want to give it a shot, show me on Flipgrid you playing each one of the 5 instruments that are playing on there. I know we don't have them at home, so you can either do it on your hands with the instrument that you have used for this or on the table, okay? So no worries about that, and just follow along with the instrument that is highlighted at the time. You'll be playing along with 5 other rhythms, but they'll all sound a little bit different because of the different instruments. So it should be just a little easier. Have fun and enjoy these African rhythms.